people just get a quick drink again.
Everyone hear me? That come through?
It should come through, yeah. Right, we all done? Right, just like to welcome to stage James Singleton. James, he's like, are you still an independent .NET contractor? Right, okay. So, but James is going to talk about React and .NET Core. So again, interesting combination. James gave another talk a couple of months ago about the adoption of .NET Core and had it running on a Raspberry Pi and all this kind of thing. It was really interesting. Anyway, and so let's give James a round of applause and hear about React and .NET.
Well, thank you, everyone. My talk is on React and .NET Core, as Barry just said. I've covered .NET Core a bit before here, so I'm going to sort of go through this bit a bit quicker. But does anyone not know what .NET Core or ASP .NET Core is? Okay, well, I'll quickly run over it then. It's a web application framework from Microsoft, server-side web application framework, does MVC, web pages, APIs, that sort of thing. And you think, oh, Microsoft, that's, yeah, how much is that going to cost? But it's free. It's fully free, doesn't cost a thing. It's also open source, like most web app frameworks these days. But it's not open source as in, here's the source code, but please don't talk to us. It's open source as in, please give us pull requests, please contribute. It's a community effort, although it is stewarded by Microsoft. I'll quickly run through some of the features. It's cross-platform, which is new for Microsoft. It's command line friendly, choice of IDE or text editor. You can use whatever you like. As I said, it's open source, and the performance is excellent. It scores very well in benchmarks. It's statically typed and it's compiled, so it runs very quickly, a lot quicker than some dynamic languages. And it's also quite easy to publish. They're fully supporting Docker and self-contained. You can build it and just ship the binaries and not have to install anything on the server. And there's a native compilation coming, but as this is a short talk, I'm not going to go into too much detail with that. What I'm going to talk about is how you can use it with React. So I'm sure everyone's heard of React. Anyone not heard of React? One person. Okay, so it's a front-end JavaScript web framework from Facebook that allows you to split up your front end into lots of modules to be easily worked on by a team. And it plays very nicely with ASP.NET Core. But why would you want to render like React on the back end instead of a front end? It's traditionally a front end framework. It runs in a browser. But for performance reasons, you'll want to pre-render that. So you're going to give some HTML to the browser so it can render that immediately before the JavaScript loads. And traditionally, you might do this once when you build the application. So it's just a static HTML page. But if you want dynamic information on that page, you're going to have to render it with your real-time data on the server. And you can cache it for a certain amount of time. So you're not going to have huge performance penalties there. You can also use .NET Core to build an API, and you're obviously going to need an API for your app to talk to, whether you're just interfacing to a database or whether you're proxying another API, because you don't, if it hasn't got CORS headers, like it doesn't support cross-origin requests, the browser just won't be able to talk to it for security reasons. So you're going to have to proxy in that case. And there's lots of other reasons you might, some really nasty SOAP APIs or static IP authentication, they still exist. So you might have to, route it through your servers. So I'm going to do a demo, but a bit of background on what it's going to be. So here's something I saw the other day at Blackfriars. See if you can spot the difference between the two images. Give you a bit of a hint. It's a touch screen, so you can just highlight things as well, which is nice. So this is obviously bad. It's doing a full page reload. What can we do better than this? Native application is not so good either. That's actually a .NET framework exception pop up there. There's something's failed on the 3G there on that right one. Or if it's running Windows, it might just blue screen. This is at London Bridge. It's brand new. So here's a better example. On the left here, something's gone wrong with the news API. It's blank, but it's failed gracefully. It's still got the weather. It's still got the train information there. And it hasn't just 404'd or fallen over or something. Unlike the one on the right, which was shutting down for over a month. It's there every day. If you want to see more of these, just follow that on Twitter. I've got loads of these. Yeah, follow that. I've got loads more. That's going to go up. So a bit more background. I tend to sort of use a tube status board as my hello world of web apps. So I'm sure that iPhone shim here gives away how old this is. But there's also date on it. So this was even before this is before TFL even had an API. It was like a third-party screen scraping that I was interfacing here. So over the years, I've used the XML API with, you know, XSLT, PHP backend. But then more recently, I've moved it to React and got a bit more information in there. And you know, it pulls back the information from a TFL API cross origin. So it's just a static site. And yeah, this is a lot nicer because it doesn't 404 if it doesn't work. It like updates in the background with JavaScript. But you know, there's a few problems with this. One of which is you have to wait till Christmas Day to test it all. But also, you know, I want to do this on the server side and ship like something immediately if JavaScript's not running. So here's what it looks like at the moment, but we're going to do a demo and make a better version of this. You can go to ReactTube now for the static one, but it's time to do a demo. So let's see if this works. Everyone see that all right? Bigger it? Too big? Okay, that's good. So there's two APIs here. The top one is the TFL one, but I've built a internal version here for easier testing, and it basically mocks what the TFL API does. Same sort of data structure, but it's randomized, so you can test it more easily. So if we have a look at the app itself, I'll reload it. And if we look at the source here, we can see that it has actually rendered in HTML all the current status, and it's also got some JavaScript here with the initial state. But if you reload this, this is just asynchronous. It uses a fetch, and it'll just get some random statuses every time. This is just a details thing. You can expand that. So if I were to change this, and put it on the real one, and then reload this, we'll see the new version pop up. But whilst that's running, I'll just show you what the app is. It's fairly standard React app. It's written in TypeScript in this case, and it's using Redux as a store, and it's got a router in there as well. If we go back to it. What is that one? So from a .NET point of view here, it's an MVC system. We have a home controller. This is returning our view. Nothing too interesting here. But within here, we have this tag that helps us do our React server-side render. So this ASP pre-render module. And this runs Node on the back end and inserts the result of the application. So there are two, the application is exactly the same either side, but there's two boots. So this one boots on the server. So this is what runs on the server to generate your HTML. And this one runs on the client. Other than that, it's completely the same, apart from you have a few issues. You can't, obviously there's no window on the server, so you need to be careful where you call certain things. So if we rerun this one now, hopefully this will be the actual tube status rather than my fake one. There you go, don't get a bang. So that's the demo. And I'll put the code up online if people want to have a look at it. So a few more things I just want to talk about if you're sort of looking at doing cross-origin APIs. I've got an open source project that allows you to proxy the National Rail Live Departure Boards, which are a horrible SOAP API. So this turns them into cross-origin JSON, and you can just pull that from your client-side JavaScript there as well. So check that out. It's on GitHub if you want to use that. One of the things that I built that uses this is progressive web app called Instabail. You just go to instabail.uk. You can install it on your phone. Uses service workers to give you like an app install banner, but it's all sort of app cache behind the scenes, so it works on iOS and everything. It'll just generate some random excuses. There's a load of sort of hard-coded ones, but it also interfaces with the TFL API and National Rail Live Departure Boards to generate realistic excuses. I mean, you can just easily message that to someone, say, sorry, I can't make it because this, train's late. So feel free to go to that. And if you're interested in any of this sort of stuff, you should buy my book and read that, because I write about loads of stuff like this, .NET. It's not just .NET, there's loads of web stuff. Service workers, a little bit on React. Yeah, you should check that out. Anyway, it's almost 10 minutes, so that's the end of my talk. Thank you very much.
So you didn't know you're getting a bit of stand-up as well, did you? But there you go. Excellent.
Thanks.
Right.